If you work a 9 to 5 job, you're sitting on an advantage most people don't recognize. Not because the paycheck is big, but because it is predictable. Predictability is boring, and boring, when used correctly, builds wealth. People don't fail because they have a salary. They fail because they treat that salary like spending money instead of capital. A predictable income is one of the most underestimated advantages in wealth building, especially in a world that glorifies speed, hustle, and dramatic success stories. People dismiss a 9 to 5 salary because it feels ordinary. It lacks excitement. It doesn't create stories worth posting. But wealth has never depended on excitement. It depends on reliability. And reliability is exactly what predictable income provides. When money arrives regularly, it changes how decisions are made. You are no longer forced to react. Reaction is expensive in finance. It pushes people to make choices based on fear, urgency, or temporary relief. Predictable cash flow removes that urgency. It allows calm thinking. Calm thinking leads to better decisions, and better decisions repeated consistently are the foundation of compounding. Compounding does not work well with chaos. It requires repetition, patience, and time. A salary provides all three. It allows you to commit to a process and stick to it regardless of mood or market noise. Saving can happen automatically. Investing can happen on schedule. Bills can be planned instead of feared. This turns money management into a system rather than a constant negotiation with yourself. Most people believe large, irregular income is superior because it feels powerful. But power without control is fragile. Irregular income creates emotional swings. During high income periods, people feel confident and loosen discipline. Spending increases. Risks feel smaller. During low income periods, fear takes over. Saving stops. Investments are questioned. Plans are abandoned. Over time, these swings destroy consistency, and without consistency, compounding never gets a chance to work. A predictable salary smooths those swings. It doesn't eliminate emotion, but it reduces its influence. When income is stable, you don't need to time decisions perfectly. You don't need to guess when the next paycheck will come. That certainty allows you to think in terms of process instead of outcome. Process is what builds wealth. Outcomes fluctuate. Another overlooked benefit of predictable income is error tolerance. Everyone makes mistakes. What matters is whether mistakes are survivable. When income is steady, small errors can be corrected without panic. Panic is what turns minor mistakes into permanent damage. Stable cash flow gives you room to recover, adjust, and continue without resetting everything. Predictability also improves planning. You can forecast months ahead. You can build buffers. You can prepare for uncertainty instead of being surprised by it. This preparation reduces risk. Wealth is not built by taking more risk than others. It is built by avoiding risks that permanently set you back. A salary helps you avoid those risks by making the future less uncertain. People often underestimate how much mental clarity stability provides. When income is unpredictable, the mind stays in survival mode. Short-term thinking dominates. Long-term planning feels impossible. A 9 to 5 salary removes that pressure. It creates mental space, and mental space is where rational decisions live. Predictable income also discourages overconfidence. Irregular success can make people believe they are smarter than they are. That belief leads to leverage, lifestyle inflation, and unnecessary complexity. A steady paycheck keeps expectations grounded. Grounded expectations protect against ego-driven decisions. Ego is one of the most expensive liabilities in finance. Consistency is the true advantage here. A small amount invested regularly often beats a large amount invested occasionally. A salary makes regular action easy. It removes excuses. It turns wealth building into something mechanical rather than emotional. Mechanical processes outperform emotional ones over long periods because they don't depend on willpower. Many people quit wealth building efforts not because they fail, but because they don't see results quickly. Predictable income supports patience. When money keeps coming in, There is less pressure for immediate success. This patience allows time to work. Time is the most powerful force in finance, but only if you stay invested long enough. The irony is that people chase a regular income for freedom, but often end up with more stress and less control. A salary, when used correctly, creates control. Control over spending, control over saving, control over decision making. Control compounds into freedom over time. The real power of a 9 to 5 salary is not how much it pays. It's that it shows up again and again without demanding emotion. Predictability is not a limitation. It is the foundation on which compounding quietly does its work. Consistency is one of the least glamorous, but most powerful forces in wealth creation. People admire intensity because it looks impressive. Long hours, aggressive decisions, dramatic changes, and constant movement give the feeling that something meaningful is happening. But intensity is unstable. It relies on motivation, energy, and emotional momentum. All of these fluctuate. Consistency, on the other hand, does not require emotional fuel. It requires structure, and a steady income provides the perfect environment for that structure to exist. A 9 to 5 salary makes consistent behavior realistic. When income arrives on a schedule, financial actions can also happen on a schedule. Saving does not depend on how motivated you feel. Investing does not depend on confidence in the market. Spending limits do not change based on mood. This predictability removes friction, and removing friction increases the likelihood that correct actions are repeated for long periods of time. Most people do not fail because they lack discipline. They fail because their financial environment makes discipline difficult. Irregular income creates constant decision making. One month feels abundant, the next feels tight. Priorities shift. Plans are adjusted. Over time, this constant adjustment breaks momentum. Compounding requires uninterrupted participation. Every pause weakens the outcome. A salary reduces pauses. Intensity also comes with a hidden cost: burnout. When people push themselves aggressively, they eventually disengage. When they disengage, good habits break. Wealth built on extreme effort rarely lasts because it depends on continuous strain. A salary-based approach allows average effort to be applied repeatedly without exhaustion. It is sustainable. Sustainability is what allows compounding to work year after year. Consistency also changes how progress feels. Intensity provides quick feedback. Consistency often feels invisible. That invisibility causes doubt. People assume that if they don't feel progress, they aren't making any. This belief pushes them to chase excitement. But excitement interrupts the process just as it begins to work. Those who understand this learn to measure success by behavior, not by short-term results. Another advantage of consistency is that it reduces regret. When actions are repeated automatically, there is less room for second guessing. You don't look back and wonder if you should have acted differently last month. The plan continues regardless of external noise. This psychological stability increases confidence over time. Consistency also protects against overreaction. Financial markets and economic conditions fluctuate constantly. Those who rely on intensity feel compelled to respond. Those who rely on consistency allow fluctuations to pass. Over decades, this restraint prevents costly mistakes. Most wealth is destroyed not by one large error, but by many small reactions that compound negatively. A steady income also allows habits to form. Habits are powerful because they operate without conscious effort. Once saving and investing become habitual, they no longer feel difficult. Habitual behavior is resilient. It continues even when life becomes stressful. Irregular income makes habit formation difficult because behavior must adapt constantly. Many people believe they need to find the perfect strategy. In reality, a good strategy followed consistently outperforms a perfect strategy followed inconsistently. A salary-based approach encourages simplicity. Simple systems are easier to maintain. Maintenance matters more than optimization. Consistency also builds trust in yourself. When you see yourself following a plan month after month, confidence grows. That confidence is grounded, not emotional. Grounded confidence leads to patience. Patience keeps you invested. Staying invested is what allows wealth to accumulate. The power of consistency is cumulative. Each month builds on the previous one. Missed months break the chain. A salary makes it easier to protect the chain. Protecting the chain matters more than maximizing any single contribution. People often quit not because they fail, but because they get bored. Boredom is uncomfortable. But boredom is a signal that the process is working. Wealth does not need excitement, it needs endurance. Over time, consistency turns ordinary income into extraordinary results. It does so quietly, without drama. Those who rely on intensity look busy. Those who rely on consistency get wealthy. A 9 to 5 salary does not make wealth harder. It makes consistency easier. And consistency, when given enough time, wins. Stable income plays a critical role in protecting judgment. And judgment is the invisible engine behind every good financial outcome. Most people assume that financial success comes from intelligence or knowledge, but in reality, it comes from the ability to make calm decisions repeatedly over long periods of time. A 9 to 5 salary reduces the emotional pressure that distorts judgment and leads people into avoidable mistakes. When income is unpredictable, fear and excitement take turns controlling decisions. A good month creates overconfidence. Spending increases, risks feel smaller, and discipline loosens. A bad month creates anxiety. Saving stops, plans are questioned, and long-term thinking disappears. These emotional swings make it almost impossible to stay consistent. Stable income dampens those swings. It creates a baseline of security that allows logic to remain in control. Financial stress narrows perspective. When people feel uncertain about money, they focus on immediate relief instead of long-term outcomes. This is when emotional spending happens. This is when people abandon sound plans because they don't feel effective quickly enough. A predictable paycheck reduces this stress. Reduced stress creates mental space. Mental space allows reflection. Reflection leads to better decisions. Another way stable income protects judgment is by reducing urgency. Urgency pushes people to act before thinking. It encourages shortcuts, trend chasing, and reaction to headlines. When income is steady, there is less pressure to force results. You can wait. Waiting filters out weak opportunities and reduces the chance of making irreversible mistakes. Fear is one of the most expensive emotions in finance. It causes people to sell at the wrong time, avoid investing when opportunities are attractive, and hoard cash out of uncertainty. Excitement is just as costly. It drives people toward hype, leverage, and complexity. Stable income acts as a buffer against both extremes. It doesn't remove emotion, but it reduces its influence. Stable income also protects against ego. When income spikes unpredictably, people often attribute success to skill rather than luck. This leads to overconfidence and risk-taking. A steady paycheck keeps expectations grounded. Grounded expectations encourage humility. Humility is a powerful defense against financial mistakes. Another advantage of predictable income is decision simplicity. When income is stable, fewer decisions need to be made. Fewer decisions reduce fatigue. Reduced fatigue improves consistency. This is important because financial discipline weakens when people are exhausted. A salary reduces the mental load of constantly managing uncertainty. Judgment improves when life feels manageable. Stable income makes life feel manageable. This allows long-term thinking to exist alongside daily responsibilities. People can focus on process instead of outcome. Process-driven behavior is more resilient than outcome-driven behavior. Over time, the benefits of protected judgment compound. Fewer emotional mistakes mean more capital stays invested. More capital invested longer produces better results. The difference may not be visible early, but over years it becomes dramatic. Wealth is rarely destroyed by a single bad decision. It is destroyed by repeated emotional reactions. A 9 to 5 salary quietly protects you from those reactions. Wealth is created in the space between income and lifestyle, not in income alone. That space only exists when spending is controlled deliberately, and a fixed salary makes that control possible. When people know exactly what is coming in, they can decide in advance what will go out. This clarity is rare, and it is one of the quiet advantages of a 9 to 5 income. Unpredictable income makes spending reactive. People loosen discipline during good periods and tighten it during bad ones. Over time, this inconsistency prevents any meaningful surplus from forming. A salary removes that uncertainty. It allows spending limits to be set calmly instead of emotionally. Calm limits are easier to respect than limits created under stress. Lifestyle inflation is the most common reason salaried people fail to build wealth. Every raise feels like permission to upgrade. Expenses rise automatically, and progress disappears silently. A fixed income allows this reflex to be challenged. When income is predictable, lifestyle choices become conscious rather than reactive. This shift is critical. Controlled lifestyle does not mean deprivation. It means alignment. Spending is directed toward what actually improves quality of life instead of what signals success to others. A stable paycheck supports this alignment by removing fear of scarcity. When fear is gone, discipline feels intentional rather than restrictive. Fixed expenses deserve special attention. They reduce flexibility. The more fixed obligations you add, the less room you have to adjust when circumstances change. A salary allows people to limit fixed costs deliberately. Limiting fixed costs increases optionality. Optionality is a form of hidden wealth. Lifestyle control also reduces stress. When expenses are comfortably below income, pressure decreases. Lower pressure improves decision making. Better decisions lead to better outcomes. This positive loop is difficult to achieve without predictable income. Another advantage of controlled lifestyle is resilience. When unexpected events occur, people with surplus absorb the shock. People without surplus panic. Panic leads to poor decisions. A salary helps surplus exist consistently, and surplus protects against disruption. Many people assume higher income will solve lifestyle problems. In reality, lifestyle problems expand with income if not controlled. A fixed paycheck forces trade-offs. Those trade-offs encourage prioritization. Prioritization creates discipline. Discipline builds wealth. The gap between income and expenses may feel small early on, but over time, that gap compounds. Small monthly surplus invested consistently becomes significant. This process is invisible at first, which is why many abandon it too early. Those who stay patient benefit disproportionately. Lifestyle control also protects against comparison. When spending is intentional, outside opinions matter less. This independence reduces ego-driven decisions. Ego is expensive. Simplicity is efficient. A 9 to 5 salary makes it easier to choose simplicity. It makes planning possible. It makes restraint purposeful. And it makes surplus reliable. Without surplus, wealth is impossible. With surplus, even ordinary income becomes powerful. Irregular hustle is often praised because it looks bold, fast, and ambitious. Big wins, dramatic stories, and sudden income spikes attract attention. But attention has nothing to do with durability. Wealth is not built by what looks impressive in the short term. It is built by what survives stress over the long term. This is where boring, disciplined systems built on predictable income quietly outperform irregular effort. Volatile income creates fragile behavior. During good periods, confidence rises too quickly. People loosen discipline, increase spending, and take risks they would normally avoid. During bad periods, fear takes control. Plans are questioned, investments are abandoned, and long-term thinking disappears. These emotional swings do not cancel out. They compound negatively. Over time, they destroy consistency and stability. A salary-based system limits these extremes. It smooths behavior. Smooth behavior produces smoother outcomes. When income is predictable, there is less temptation to overextend during good times and less pressure to panic during bad ones. This emotional balance is a massive advantage that most people underestimate. One of the most important concepts in wealth building is downside protection. You do not need to win big often. You need to avoid losing badly even once. A single irreversible mistake can erase years of effort. Predictable income reduces the need to take extreme risks. It allows patience. It allows selectivity. It allows waiting for clarity instead of forcing action. A regular hustle often encourages constant movement. People feel the need to always be doing something to justify uncertainty. This leads to frequent strategy changes, complexity, and over-optimization. Each change introduces new risk. Each new risk increases the chance of failure. A salary allows stillness. Stillness allows observation. Observation improves decision quality. Another hidden cost of a regular income is mental fatigue. Constant uncertainty drains energy. When energy is low, discipline weakens. Weak discipline leads to mistakes. A stable paycheck reduces cognitive load. Fewer decisions need to be made. Reduced decision fatigue improves long-term consistency. Predictable income also creates resilience. When setbacks occur, people with stable systems recover faster. They do not need to abandon the process. They adjust and continue. This ability to continue matters more than any single decision. Wealth favors those who stay in the game. Many people confuse speed with progress. They assume faster movement means better outcomes. In reality, speed without control often leads to collapse. Controlled progress may feel slow, but it compounds. Over time, those who move steadily surpass those who sprint and stop. A disciplined salary-based approach may look unremarkable early on. There are no dramatic milestones, no sudden validation. This lack of feedback discourages many people. But those who persist reach a point where progress accelerates quietly. Compounding does not announce itself. It reveals itself only after enough time has passed. A regular hustle also tends to increase ego involvement. Big wins create identity attachment. When identity is attached to income, decisions become emotional. Emotional decisions increase risk. A steady income keeps identity separate from outcomes. This separation protects judgment. The greatest advantage of boring income is not what it earns, but what it prevents. It prevents panic. It prevents overconfidence. It prevents unnecessary complexity. It prevents constant decision-making. By limiting downside and protecting behavior, it allows upside to accumulate naturally. Wealth is not built by dramatic effort repeated occasionally. It is built by disciplined behavior repeated consistently. And over time, boring systems built on predictable income quietly outperform chaos fueled by a regular hustle. In the end, the real advantage of a 9-5 salary has very little to do with the size of the paycheck and everything to do with how it shapes behavior. Predictable income creates stability. Stability makes discipline possible. Discipline allows consistency. And consistency is what compounding needs to work without interruption. While a regular hustle looks exciting, it often produces fragile systems built on emotion, ego, and pressure. A steady salary removes much of that pressure. It protects judgment, reduces mistakes, and makes long-term thinking sustainable. It allows lifestyle control, creates surplus, and limits downside, all of which matter more than chasing dramatic upside. Wealth is rarely built by those who move the fastest. It is built by those who stay steady the longest. A 9-5 salary, when treated as capital instead of spending money, becomes a quiet advantage. It may not impress anyone early on, but over time it does something far more valuable. It builds freedom, slowly, calmly, and reliably, while everyone else is distracted by noise.